Happy Chipmunk Adventure Month, everybody! And happy Mother's Day to all the lovely mothers out there. Today I'm going to underline start, my review of the 1987 classic, The Chipmunk Adventure. But it's going to involve two very special deer. These two. Now then, on to the review. The Chipmunk Adventure was, fun fact, the first Alvin and the Chipmunks motion picture in existence. And it is written by Ross Bagdasarian of Bagdasarian Productions and his wife, Janice Karman Bagdasarian, credited as Janice Karman. Now, here's another fun fact. To this day, Mr. Bagdasarian voiced David Seville, Alvin, and Simon. And his wife, Mrs. Karman, voiced Théodore and the Chipettes. Anyway, this is a pretty great movie alongside Bambi's midquel, Bambi and the Great Prince of the Forest, both of which deserve more lovable attention and fan fiction. Now then, the way I'm gonna tell it involves Bambi and the Great Prince, and it takes place near the end of winter. David Seville decides to take the Great Prince, who is at his wit's end, on a field trip around the world, whilst the Chipmunks, Alvin, Simon, and Théodore, take care of the Great Prince's son, his motherless one, I might add, Bambi. Of course, Bambi's asleep at the time that they're getting ready to depart. And then Alvin says, "Please, take me with you, Dave." And then Dave says, "Alvin, how many times must I tell you? This is strictly a business trip. It's just not practical. Besides, I've hired a very good babysitter to help you with Bambi while we're gone." And then, right on cue, that was me imitating the sound of Miss Miller, Beatrice Miller, hitting trash cans with her car. And then Simon Seville sighs and says, "It just had to be Miss Miller." And then Dave says, "Now come on, fellas, she's a very kind woman." And the Great Prince would then say, "Oh, please let her take care of my son. In a good way. Up to the clouds, I might add." And then Miss Miller shouts, "Yoo-hoo! I'm here! Bambi! Anybody home? Dave? Boys?" And then, honk, honk, honk. That's the sound of Dave's taxi. And then Dave gives three of his boys a hug. I mean, his three sons. The point is, they're his adoptive sons. If you don't know that, please check out the Chipmunk story, a 1983 episode. Also, the Chipmunk Adventure is a backstory to how Miss Miller came to be for season 4. Whew. And then Dave and the Great Prince rush out the door. Not in the actual movie. I'm telling this the way I see it. Miss Miller then goes, "David, your jacket!" Then Simon hurriedly gives Dave and the Great Prince their ticket. And then Alvin's standing right by the door of the taxi. Those of you may be wondering, how did Alvin get from the bedroom to the taxi so fast? Well, that's Nicktoon logic for ya. Nicktoon movie logic, I may add. And then Alvin just jumps into the vehicle with Dave and shuts the door. But before they can take off, Dave, of course, shouts, "Alvin!" And then Alvin miserably heads back to the entrance. Of course, by the time Bambi wakes up in the morning, he realizes he's too late to say goodbye. And says, "I'm not what a prince's son is supposed to be." And then Miss Miller would say, "Don't say that, dear. Your dad will see how much you need him soon enough." In the next scene, we see the Chipmunks, in my version, has Bambi in it, and the Chipettes, in my version, has Feline in it too, well, cheering Alvin and Brittany, respectively, on during a game called Around the World in 30 Days. That's either under or over or the exact amount of a month, depending on the month it is. And right then, it's February. Meanwhile, there are some diamond smugglers in the movie, voiced by the late Susan Tyrell and Anthony DeLongis. Both of them were fans of the Chipmunks, as I read on a fan fiction, of course. Their names are Claudia and Klaus Versteen. Then Claudia says, "We have people waiting around the world for $5 million in diamonds, and we can't get anyone to deliver them. Jamal knows his fate." Of course, in my version, they meet a young buck from Bambi, A Life in the Woods, called Clarice. Excuse me. And of course, another young buck named Rano, both of whom have little antler spikes poking out of them. And then Claudia and Klaus get the same wicked idea. And then Claudia asks, "Will you help us?" And then Clarice says, "Anything to prove the Great Prince we're more worthy than Bambi." And then Rana would say, "Ha ha, Bambi." And then Simon, meanwhile, back to the game, Simon says, "You must take the shortcut across Fiji, Alvin." And then Bambi would say, "Oh no, not Fiji, not there. It's too dangerous." And then Alvin says, "It's my only chance." And then just when Alvin thinks he's about to make the 2,000 points, an alligator snags his balloon, causing Brittany to win. Like, "Winner, winner, we have a winner!" And then Alvin retorts and says, "You're very lucky this is only a game. You'd be in real trouble if this were real life." And then Brittany says, "Oh, is that right?" And then Alvin says, "Yeah, that's right." Excuse me. "If I had the money, I'd race you around the world post-haste." And then Rana would say, "Hey, Klaus and Claudia, I think we found your gullible kids to deliver those diamonds." And then Brittany goes, "Well, unless you inherit a fortune, Alvin, I suppose we'll never know. And then Claudia and Klaus introduce themselves. Excuse me. And then Théodore says, oh, and we're the Chipmunks. And these are our friends, the Chipettes. Pause. And then Claudia says, the Chipmunks and Chipettes and the young prince. Oh, adorable. Well, what do you say? And, of course, Klaus says, I bet $1 million on Brittany Miller. And then Claudia says, and I bet on handsome young Alvin, while pinching his cheeks. These cheeks. Because then Klaus says, we're quite wealthy and very bored. And then Claudia says, we'll set you up with all the supplies you'll possibly need for your trip. And the first one with the deal to come back wins $100,000 and a special bag of deal supplies and a manual. And then Alvin says, $100,000? This is fantabulous! And then Simon says, Alvin, I need to talk to you for a minute. I have several problems. But let's begin with Miss Miller. And then Claudia overhears and says, Miss Miller? And then Brittany says, she's their babysitter. Simon says, she would never let us go. And she'd certainly never let Prince Bambi go. But it's been a pleasure to meet you. And then Brittany laughs and says, ha 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 ha! I knew you chicken Bambi out! And then Bambi would say, I'm sorry, chicken me out? And then Dupper says, oh, that's it! When would you like us to leave? And then Claudia says, how's tomorrow? The Chipmunks and Chipettes then gasp, but Alvin and Brittany say, perfect! And then Bambi would say, Simon, think of it this way. I can finally show my father how brave I am. And of course, how trustworthy you are. And then Simon would softly smile and say, well, I guess that helps. Then cut to nighttime where Alvin cooks up a scheme where he needs Dave to say, hello, Miss Miller. I want Alvin, Simon, and Théodore to meet me in Europe. Bye-bye. Of course, Simon refuses to be a part of any deception. I think it was designed to be autistic. Whatever his case is, please comment below. And then of course, Alvin persuades Théodore to deceive Miss Miller for 2 packages of Tutti Frutti chewing gum. It's like convincing Scooby-Doo to go somewhere for a Scooby snack. And then Alvin says, what could be better? Giving Bambi an all-expense-paid trip around the world and lending him a hand and showing his dad how brave he can be. Besides, Bambi, we'll have you back before your dad comes home. And then Bambi would say, just one thing. It's 300 hours where our dads are. You're aware of that, right? And then Alvin would say, exactly. There'll be putty in my hand. We then see a beautiful view of the Eiffel Tower en France. And then Dave answers his ringing telephone. And then Alvin says, "Salut, Dave!" And Dave says, "Salut, Alvin." "Alvin, is Bambi with you?" And then Alvin says, "Yes. And I think he misses the sound of the Great Prince's voice." Of course, Simon then goes, "Oh!" He's also reading a book called How to Cope with Stress. I mean, when you have a big brother like Alvin, can you really blame Simon? Am I right? And then Alvin says, "So I'm in the house with Simon and Théodore and Bambi and the Great Prince guesses, Miss Miller." And then Alvin says, "Good father." We then wait to see how many of the words Alvin got in his notepad. He then says, "Well, those are about all the notes I need. No way. It's been great talking to you, Dad. Bye-bye." And then Dave's confused, but then Alvin goes, "Bye-bye." And then the Great Prince says, "Bye-bye." And then Dupper says, now all we have to do is edit the tape together, play it for Miss Miller." And then Alvin and Bambi finish saying, "We're on our way to showing our dads how brave we are." Then cut to Miss Miller preparing the boys' breakfast, saying, "Now let's think. Alvin gets the raisin bread. Simon gets the English muffin. Théodore gets the banana bread, the orange slices, the cereal, the bowl of yogurt, the peanut butter sandwich, the flapjacks with gooseberry honey, the scrambled eggs with toast, things like that." Also, one thing I'd like to point out, for those of you who say green is a primary color, it's actually a mixture between yellow and blue, which Théodore is wearing. So, for the story, I'm just gonna say Théodore wears yellow, like a yellow turtleneck, yellow pajamas. You get the point. Alvin and Simon are okay, though. Whew. And then Alvin loudly goes, "I wonder when Dave will call us." Of course, Theodore's still eating, because can you blame him? Alvin then clears his throat, and then Théodore then tiptoes out of the room and calls the telephone on the wall. Alvin jumps off, spilling cereal milk everywhere, screaming, "I'll get it!" "Hello? Great Prince, hi there! What a coinky-dink! We were just chatting about you." "Sure, just a minute. Hey, Miss Miller, it's the Great Prince. He'd like to talk to you." And then, of course, you'll never guess what button Théodore presses. Yab yab! Ring imet brosneitne mouse. Bilwa nuwa. Erlem sumwala. That's one of the memes to be from the Chipmunk Adventure. And then Bambi goes, "No, Miss Miller, it's not your hearing aid." And then Dupper then giggles nervously and says, "It's a spotty connection." Alvin then gives a glare to the off-camera side, thinking, "Oh, Théodore, come on." Théodore presses some more buttons. Unfortunately, this is the one he presses. "Hello, Miss Miller." And Miss Miller then goes, David, are you drunk? Théodore then presses the right button and then faints in relief. Because the message then goes, hello, Miss Miller. The Great Prince and I want Alvin, Simon, and Théodore to grab Bambi and meet us in Europe. Or what? But Miss Miller doesn't hear it all the way and screams, can you repeat that, David? Alvin then throws cereal in the air in frustration. Like this, ah! And then there's a cut drop-off scene where Miss Miller says, nonsense, I wouldn't hear of you boys taking a taxi. Because everyone knows how reckless a driver she could be. And then Miss Miller says, now boys, take care of yourselves. And officer, be sure to get on the right plane. Oh, keep your shirt on, Buster. Of course, that's cut content. It's also revealed that Théodore originally had a goldfish. And then Théodore says, hey, Simon, I feel a little funny about pranking Miss Miller like that. And then Simon says, it's Dub's guilt, Théodore. And that's part 1 of the Chipmunk Adventure. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and please be sure to put what I wrote to you on. Please be sure to put that in any fan fiction you get. Bye!